Hi, 28 female, I'm married to my husband, 34, and have a son who's a tween. I had a rough childhood and my mom, who I love very much, passed away when I was 16 due to addiction. I don't have many things from her besides some jewellery, but I've always had a photo book filled with her college and later in life photos. I'm going through another weird second wave of grief right now in life. I just miss her often, especially now that I'm in therapy. My son sees me crying a lot, and my husband wanted me to explain things to him because he seemed confused. So I did. I explained everything to him one night before bedtime, and we looked through the old photo book together. It was one of the most beautiful moments in my life. 2 days ago, I came to his room to get him for dinner, and I saw the book on his desk, walked over and saw that he'd taken pictures out of the book, cut them up and glued them to a piece of paper. All I could do there was stand there and say, "Oh crap." I tried hard not to cry and immediately went downstairs to my husband and told him about it. Started to cry and my son came into the kitchen. I was visibly upset and asked him why he would do that. He also started to cry and told me he wanted to do an art project for me. I just walked out of the room, went to bed while my husband tended to him, and then packed a backpack and went to my dad's to spend the night. My husband is trying to give me space, but keeps calling and overwhelming me. I told him I was upset at our kid and he defended him, saying that it was just how he expressed himself and that I was overreacting and upsetting him. He said this is just what happens with kids, but he couldn't understand that those photos were so special to me. He's all cranky with me now and I feel horrible, angry and miserable. My dad is starting to feel angry at my husband now because of his behaviour and is worried about me, but I just feel guilty for upsetting my child. Am I the idiot for staying with my dad after my son cut up my pictures of my deceased mother? No idiots here. I'm so sorry for your loss and it's clear your mom meant a lot to you. Just like for you, I'm sure you mean a lot to your son. Please ask him about the art project he was doing. It's possible he was trying to make something beautiful with the pictures of his grandma to please his own mom. He's a young tween. They don't always understand damage and long-term pain. Big disagree. There is absolutely an idiot here and it's her husband. Those of you who think the husband isn't an idiot for telling his wife that her feelings and emotions aren't valid and that she just needs to get over herself and can't even take a single day to try and have some time to heal. At the same time, she relives the trauma of losing her own mother all over again. That's wild. Her son literally has his other parent right there. He'll see his dad telling his mom that her feelings don't matter and it doesn't matter that anything's been done to upset her. Tell me you don't have kids without telling me you don't have kids. The husband is at home with a young tween who thinks their mother hates them enough to run and hide from them. Her husband has every right and responsibility to expect his wife to come home and figure this out. Her child didn't destroy the pictures to take them away from her. I guarantee they were trying to do something to help their mom feel better. They were, albeit misguidedly, trying to show their love for their own mom, who in response packed a bag and left. She must understand that being a good parent means putting your children above yourself. This was a teaching moment. All she was teaching them was that mom's love was conditional. Her husband is trying to get her to do right by their child. Yep, agreed. Sorry, OP, you need to go and make things right with your boy. Knowing he's made his mum leave, he must be beside himself, poor boy. I don't like to throw around trauma for no reason, but running out on your young child for days on end when they don't understand what they did wrong is a great way to give them some kind of complex at least. Leaving was excessive. OP, you're being dramatic, and it's at the expense of your son's well-being. You should feel guilty, and if I were your husband, I'd be mad too. I, male 42, have a daughter, teen, Jo. Jo is one of my kids with my ex-wife. My ex has a job that has her travelling a lot, so Jo stays with me most of the time. Jo has gotten bad acne within the last year, maybe a year and a half. I've gotten her multiple types of face wash and moisturiser, but her acne hasn't cleared up, so I figured it was just part of her being a teenager, and maybe she wasn't always washing her face, and that's why it hasn't cleared up. Well, recently Jo has been asking to go to a dermatologist, because regular face wash and moisturiser don't work for her. I told her acne isn't that bad and she probably just needs to wash her face more often. Jo then told me she's self-conscious about her acne and would appreciate going to the dermatologist and seeing if they could do something for her. So I asked her if she washed her face twice a day or only did it when she felt like it. She started crying and ran up to her room. Less than an hour later, I got a call from my ex-wife calling me a huge idiot for accusing Jo of not washing her face, and that's why she has acne and that it could be hormones keeping her skin from getting clear, and she said she'll make sure Jo gets to the dermatologist when she's back in town. I didn't think I was the idiot. Still, my ex-wife is pretty angry and called me an idiot multiple times, so am I one for asking my daughter if she actually washes her face? Daughter: Dad, I've tried everything to get my acne to clear up and nothing's working. I need to see a specialist. Can you set that up for me? Dad: Doctor? You want to see a doctor? You're just dirty and won't take care of yourself. Here's some soap. Dude, wow, you are the idiot. That is pretty much how you sounded to her. Your daughter asked you for professional help and you told her to wash her face? How can you have so little empathy for a teenage girl who's feeling self-conscious? Apologize, educate yourself, then get her the help she's asking for. Acne isn't caused by a lack of face washing. By the way, unless OP's a physician, he doesn't know if she has regular old teenage acne or if it's systemic, for which all the face scrubbing in the world won't help. Not to mention that overwashing one's face, especially with harsh cleansers and on delicate skin, can cause worse acne by actually drying it out, causing oils to come to the surface, which causes more acne. OP, you are the idiot hands down. Go apologize to your daughter and make her dermatologist appointment today. Yeah, I thought the whole acne is caused by lack of face washing thing died back in the early 2000s. If washing the face would solve the issue, then nobody would struggle with acne in the world. It can be so mentally and physically painful for those who have it. Just take her to a dermatologist already. If you had something on your face, something really bothering or unaesthetic, and that you couldn't make go away, wouldn't you go to the doctor? Take your kid to the dermatologist, idiot. I, 30 female, got married 4 years ago to James, 32 male. James has 2 children with his ex. My stepson is a mid-tween and my stepdaughter is 1 year younger. I love my stepchildren and I try to be a good stepmom, not the crazy evil kind or the kind who wants the kids all to herself and tries to screw over the biological parent. I see my role as an additional adult in their lives, contributing to their security, but I don't believe I'm an equal parent. They don't see me that way, and that is totally fine and lines up with my experiences with friends who had step-parents even from very young ages. I dated James knowing he had children, and I always wanted to be one of the step-parents the kids were glad to have in their lives, not the ones tolerated for the sake of their parents. My husband's family does not have these same expectations, and during my pregnancy, I've struggled with that. To my in-laws, I am an equal parent. I'm a third-time parent and not pregnant for the first time. This has been a difficult expectation for me. I feel like my whole pregnancy has been compared to my ex's pregnancies with my stepchildren. Some comments get made by mother-in-law and father-in-law like, oh, the other 2 weren't that bad because I had such extreme morning sickness that led to hyperemesis gravidarum. Or when we found out the gender of the baby and it was mentioned, we didn't find out with my stepchildren. My husband told them it wasn't like I was involved in either of those pregnancies, but it went over their heads. My sisters suggested throwing me a baby shower, and mother-in-law mentioned that you only have a baby shower with your first, and how inappropriate one for the third will be. She said people were judged so harshly for that decision. This has weighed on me. It makes me feel jealous, which is new. I wallowed for a while at how unfair it was that my husband had gone through this twice before. It means his family expects me to give up first-time experiences like a baby shower, or that they compare my pregnancy to his ex's 2 pregnancies. I was worried it would make me a worse stepmom feeling that way, so I started therapy. My husband and I did talk a little, but he couldn't completely understand how I felt. He told me it wasn't wrong to feel a little unsettled by the comments and that he would do better to end them. But I told him I didn't want that jealousy to fester and grow or for it to become resentment toward him or my stepkids. So I started therapy 6 weeks ago. My husband was so frustrated with his family starting all this that a week ago, when they made another comment about the baby shower, he told them it was that crap that sent me to therapy. They asked what that was supposed to mean, and he told them they made me feel like crap for experiencing my first pregnancy, and he was over how they responded to my pregnancy. This started an argument between him, his mom, and his brother. Then my husband's family claimed I was weaponizing therapy and overreacting to a situation I signed up for. Am I the idiot? Oh honey, no, you're not an idiot in the slightest, dear. Even if you felt that you were the third parent to your stepkids, this is still a new experience for you. It's a new experience for your body and will be your first time raising an infant. And the fact that they disregard this is actually insane on their part. I can't tell you what their motivations is in all of this, whether they think somehow they're protecting your stepkids from feeling like other or what. But you need to take a little break from them and do the things that spark happiness as you add to your family. I'm sorry, but your in-laws are just making crap up. You only throw a shower for the first baby. Who has ever heard of this? It's total BS. Also, it's your first child. I've never been invited to a baby shower for a straight dad. They're for the expectant mother. You absolutely deserve a shower, and congratulations on your pregnancy. Yeah, your in-laws suck, but your hubby has his whole family on his side, spewing nonsense like you are weaponizing your therapy. You're sitting all alone on your end of the table, trying to fight for your right to have mixed emotions about a crappy situation you were forced into. Interesting husband you've got there. I, 30 female, have 2 sons, a grammar schooler, and a birth control failure resulted in an unplanned pregnancy for us. I told my sister privately and told her I wanted to ensure she was okay. She said she was, but our relationship changed that day. Outwardly, she appeared okay, but we were not close like before. We used to talk a lot every week, and that reduced significantly despite my attempts to keep that going. She called less, answered less, and stayed on the phone less. It was more awkward for the first few months of my eldest's life, and then it did get a little better, but never the same as before. I did bring it up to her once, and she acted like she had no idea what I was talking about, so I dropped the conversation. My sister went through IVF, and I did my best to support her through that. Then I got pregnant again, and the distance grew. But then she was pregnant too, and things got better. My sister was enthusiastic about our kids growing up close and spending time together. At first, we did a lot together when my youngest and my niece were born, and we talked about how they'd have play dates and we could do fun outings with all 3. Then, around 6 months ago, it got worse again. I'm still trying to understand why or what caused it, but it all accumulated into an incident 2 weeks ago. My sister dropped by unexpectedly and asked me to watch my niece the next day. I was like, of course. I've babysat for them before, and they babysat a couple of times for us too. I was placing up some dinner for my kids at the time, and my sister was like, "What the heck is that? Why are you feeding them like that?" She told me it was gross and she couldn't believe I would be so wasteful, and it wasn't a real dinner. She told me I should know way better than that. The dinner was mini homemade chicken tacos, some stir-fried veggies on the side, a dip and some fresh berries in a pot. She then insulted the lunch I gave my kids at Christmas and told me the way I feed my kids is impossible and weird, and there's no consistency to them, etc. I told her to stop acting like I was doing something wrong, and she told me I was. She mentioned that my kids don't finish their food every time, and it escalated badly. It felt like she was taking everything from the last 7-ish years out on me, and I told her I'm not babysitting anymore, and not to call on me for help with my niece anymore. She called me a lousy sister and left. Am I the idiot? I don't see what was wrong with the lunch. Chicken, vegetables and fruit, and in a form that children like. What more could you want? Besides, hasn't anyone told the sister that the children have to eat their plates empty regardless of the consequences? Method of education is completely outdated. What you don't finish now will be served up as a warmed-up snack 2 hours later when you're hungry, and that's it. Not the idiot. You haven't done anything wrong by telling your sister she can look after her child. Let her cool down first, then you can talk about the much deeper problem in peace. OP, it's not the food. Something in her saw your kids and it made her angry, and she made a cockamamie rationalization to lash out. I was the sister who couldn't have a baby when it seemed everyone else was without problems. It was a horrible feeling, and I was horrifically jealous, but you don't get to put your bad feelings on other people. I was still there, I went to baby showers, visited the hospital, made meals for new parents and bought baby presents. They were people I loved, and I was happy for them. I'm sorry your sister couldn't do that. She needs a therapist. My girlfriend and I have been together for 5 months. We're both 31, let's call her Amy. My girlfriend is beautiful. She works out, goes to workout classes, everything. However, when she was younger, she was really hot. This whole conversation started when she was showing me photos from her past. Her social media only has recent photos. She told me too that when she was younger, she would get free flight upgrades and be invited to celebrity parties. She told me that when she started working at her first company, she got invited to their company's town hall where she got to ask the CEO questions in front of the whole company, etc. She then asked me to be honest and tell her if I would have preferred dating her now or back then. I told her now because I didn't think I could have related to her back then as I do now, and that her personality got me to fall in love with her. She then goes, okay, what about from a purely physical perspective? Let's say my personality is the same now, just that we swap bodies. From a physical standpoint, I said I would choose her in my early 20s. She then asked me what age I find women the most attractive. I say it depends on the woman, but tell her it's generally 21 to 24. Up until this point, she hasn't shown an ounce of anger. Then she says, "Oh, so women after 24 are basically worthless in your eyes." I told her if I could swap and get my 22-year-old body back, my youth, everything, I would do it too in a heartbeat. She then starts saying this is not about youth, this is attraction. Then starts calling me a creep and an idiot for preferring younger women. She then says that she thought since I was nerdy, I didn't have the same obsession with college girls as the bro type. Honey, do these pants make my butt look big? Be honest now, LOL. OP, you fool, you're not very bright, are you? You fell victim to one of the classic blunders. No, honey, you're aging like a fine wine with time. I'm so attracted to you. I wouldn't change a thing about you if I could. Besides, I'm not into younger women. Dude, this is an amateur-level situation. Your significant other is always the hottest version of themselves right now. Everyone's the idiot here. You're both too old for this crap. It's giving "would you love me if I was a worm" vibes. You're two of the most immature people I've ever heard of. Screw off and get back to me when you have some actual real-life problems. Now here's a real-life problem. My insurance bill is due in 2 days and I'm panicking. Why do people insist on ruining their own lives by never growing up?